Have you ever wondered what happens when the lights are still shining, the cameras are still rolling, thousands of fans are still screaming, but something feels completely wrong? What if one of the biggest basketball games ever played wasn't remembered for the score, the highlights, or the championship implications, but for a series of strange moments that left players, coaches, and fans searching for answers for years afterward? Imagine sitting courtside and noticing things that nobody else seems to see. A nervous glance from a player, a heated conversation away from the spotlight, security personnel rushing through hidden hallways, coaches whispering frantically while trying to keep their emotions under control. Now imagine that all of those moments were captured on cameras that were never intended for public broadcast. What you're about to hear is a story that goes beyond the box score. A story about pressure, controversy, emotion, and the unseen side of professional basketball. Stay with us until the end, because some of the most shocking details emerge long after the final buzzer sounds. Welcome back to HoopNexis, the place where basketball stories go deeper than the highlights. Today we're diving into a mysterious tale inspired by one of the darkest and most controversial nights imaginable in professional basketball. This isn't just about what happened on the court. It's about what happened behind the scenes, in the tunnels, locker rooms, and hidden corners of the arena where few people were looking. Every great sport has moments that become legends. The game-winning shots, the championship celebrations, the incredible comebacks. But there are also moments that people would rather forget. Moments that raise questions instead of providing answers. Moments that leave fans debating for years. The arena was packed long before tip-off. Fans filled every seat. Reporters crowded the sidelines. Television crews prepared for another historic night. On the surface, everything appeared normal. But beneath that excitement, tension was already building. Several players later admitted that the atmosphere felt different from the moment they entered the building. There was an unusual seriousness in the air. Conversations were shorter. Smiles were less frequent. Even veteran players who had experienced countless high-pressure games seemed unusually tense. As warm-ups began, spectators focused on the stars. Cameras captured dunks, jump shots, and pre-game routines. Yet away from the spotlight, arena staff noticed unusual activity. Security teams were communicating more frequently than normal. Team officials appeared distracted. Something felt off, although nobody could explain exactly what it was. When the game finally started, the intensity was immediate. Every possession felt important. Every whistle drew reactions. Players fought for every rebound as if the championship depended on each play. The first quarter was competitive, but signs of frustration began appearing earlier than expected. Players argued with referees. Coaches challenged calls. Emotions seemed unusually high considering how much time remained in the game. Then came the first strange moment. According to accounts from people working inside the arena, a camera positioned in a restricted hallway captured a heated exchange between several individuals connected to the event. Nobody knows exactly what was said, but witnesses described the conversation as intense and emotional. At the time, few people paid attention. After all, basketball games are emotional. Arguments happen. Pressure creates conflict. Yet when later events unfolded, many began revisiting that moment and wondering whether it was more significant than anyone realized. As the second quarter progressed, the physicality increased. Hard fouls became more common. Players stared each other down. Benches reacted to nearly every play. The game was transforming from a basketball contest into something much more emotional. Fans watching at home noticed some of it, but they couldn't see everything. What they couldn't see were the conversations taking place during timeouts. They couldn't see trainers rushing between rooms. They couldn't see security officials receiving unexpected instructions. Those details remained hidden from public view. At halftime, the atmosphere inside the building was dramatically different from the excitement that existed before tip-off. Players headed toward the locker rooms carrying visible frustration. Coaches looked exhausted despite only being halfway through the game. One behind-the-scenes camera reportedly captured a scene that would later become the source of endless speculation. A veteran player sat alone in a hallway, staring at the floor for several minutes. No phone. No conversation. No distractions. just silence. To many people, that image represented the emotional weight of the night. Basketball fans often focus on statistics and results. They discuss points, rebounds, assists, and championships. But they sometimes forget the human side of the game. These athletes carry enormous pressure. Every mistake is analyzed. Every decision is questioned. Every performance becomes part of their legacy. As the second half began, the tension reached another level. The crowd became louder. The players became more aggressive. Every possession seemed capable of changing the outcome. Then controversy struck. A series of calls triggered immediate reactions from both teams. Players surrounded officials. Coaches left their designated areas. Fans erupted. The arena transformed into chaos. For several minutes, basketball took a back seat to emotion. Commentators struggled to explain what was happening. Social media exploded with reactions. Millions of viewers debated whether the calls were correct. But while fans argued online, another story was unfolding behind closed doors. Reports suggest that team personnel were involved in multiple urgent discussions away from the court. Security measures increased. Access to certain areas became restricted. Staff members moved through hallways with unusual urgency. Nobody outside those circles knew why. The game resumed, but the emotional damage had already been done. Players carried frustration into every possession. Mistakes multiplied. Tempers flared. The quality of basketball suffered as emotions took control. Yet somehow the contest remained close. That created an even more dramatic environment because every controversial moment now carried greater significance. With only minutes remaining, the pressure became almost unbearable. Every shot mattered. Every whistle mattered. Every decision mattered. The crowd stood for nearly every possession. Fans knew they were witnessing something unforgettable, although not necessarily for the reasons they expected. As the final minutes ticked away, the game delivered one dramatic moment after another. Lead changes, missed opportunities, emotional reactions. Everything that makes sports captivating was present. But beneath the excitement was a growing sense of unease. Even people with no connection to either team later described feeling that something about the night seemed unusual. Then came the final sequence. The play that would dominate discussions for years. The moment that transformed an intense basketball game into a lasting controversy. The arena exploded with noise. Players reacted instantly. Coaches screamed instructions. Officials gathered to discuss what had happened. Nobody seemed certain. The replay screens showed one angle, then another, then another. Each perspective created new questions. Instead of clarity, confusion grew. The final buzzer eventually sounded, but the debate was only beginning. Fans celebrated. Others protested. Commentators analyzed every detail. Experts disagreed. Former players offered conflicting opinions. The basketball world became divided. Yet some of the most fascinating developments occurred after the game ended. While reporters focused on interviews and press conferences, hidden cameras continued recording activity throughout the arena. Exhausted players walked through tunnels. Coaches held emotional conversations. Staff members worked late into the night. The energy was completely different from the public spectacle taking place on television. One of the most discussed images reportedly showed several individuals standing silently in a hallway after midnight. No arguments. No celebrar.